Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now, I'm Heena Gambhir. Let's shift our focus to the neighbouring state of Tamil Nadu. Similar story of negligence has claimed the life of an 8-year-old in Chennai. Let's tell you what exactly has happened. Just like every day, today morning also, 8-year-old Theeksheth gets into his school van, reaches school at around 8:30 a.m., starts walking towards classroom and then suddenly stops. Theeksheth had forgotten his bag in the school bus. He walks back to the bus. Driver was reversing the school bus and the young boy came under its wheels. Theeksheth was declared brought dead to the hospital. A case has now been registered. The bus driver and the conductor have been arrested by Tamil Nadu police. Now, principal, bus conductor have been booked for culpable homicide, stating that the school management did not inform the parents about the accident as soon as it happened. The family members of the boy staged a protest in front of the school. There are many questions that arise. This incident happened in the school's premises. Was there nobody around to ensure safety of the child there? Where were the school authorities while the child was approaching the bus? Where was the conductor of the bus when the driver was reversing the vehicle? The bigger question that we want to raise tonight is, schools have finally reopened after 600 plus days. How do we ensure safety of children in our schools? That's the focus on Urban Debate at 8:30 p.m. on Mirror Now. Lakshmi Ramachandran, spokesperson of the Congress party, is joining us. Dr. Sumant C. Raman, political analyst, is live with us. Narayan Tirupati, spokesperson of the BJP. Rupali Kudesia, vice principal. DPS Sushant Lok is live with us. Aarti, psychologist and a parent, also joining us on the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Dr. Sumant C. Raman, I want to begin the discussion with you. After over 2 years, schools have finally reopened and we've got really sad news from Tamil Nadu this morning. 8-year-old child was going to his classroom just like every day. He forgot his bag in the bus, returned to pick it up and then lost his life. Who is responsible?
First of all, Heena, it's an extremely tragic incident, extremely unfortunate incident. And I'm getting echo, so if they can correct that, please. Yeah, so I think that what has happened is that the driver did not know that the boy was behind and he reversed the bus and the boy was unfortunately killed. See, the Tamil Nadu government has some of the most stringent rules for operating school buses. In fact, in 2012, there was one girl who fell through the floorboard of the bus and was run over. And after that, the government brought in very strict regulations in 2012. Subsequently, there was one more incident where one more college student lost his life. Once again, when the tire of the bus burst and he was sort of dragged down. And after that, in 2018, the government added some more guidelines and reissued the earlier order. So the rules are very, very clear. The drivers have special training. You cannot, just about anybody with a heavy vehicle license is not allowed to drive a school bus. You need a minimum of 5 years experience. Then the second part is the qualifications that the conductor needs to have. He needs to have a permit. Just about any bus cannot be used or any van cannot be used for transporting school children. The floorboard, the step should be 250 millimeters from the ground, etc. So there are a whole lot of guidelines which have been given, and they, to be very fair, have been successful in reducing the number of such incidents. Sadly, what happened today was a very unfortunate incident, but I do not think it is fair that we can generalize and say that governments And I'm talking about different party governments. 2012, we had a different government. 2022, we have a different government. I think that they've all taken it extremely seriously, but this is one of those very, very rare accidents. And obviously, the driver and the conductor have been arrested, and obviously, the law will take its own course. But I don't think one can generalize and apportion blame on the government or even the school authorities beyond the driver who was responsible.
Okay, so the governments can't be blamed, school authorities can't be blamed, the driver and conductor probably are responsible. That's your point of view, Dr. Sumansi Raman. Aarti Anand Padmanabhan, you're a psychologist and you're a parent as well. How will you like to react to what has happened with this 8-year-old child today? Is there no responsibility of the school? He got down from the car, was going towards his class. There was nobody. I mean, I'm, it's difficult for me to imagine that kind of a situation, that there was nobody around him to see what is happening. Where were the teachers if there was no attendant in that school bus?
Good evening. And first and foremost, my heart just goes out to the parents. I'm so sorry. It's a horrible, horrible loss. But I would like to counter the point Dr. Suman said. I mean, I'm not here to blame anybody in particular or, to point fingers. But my question to the school is very simply this.
Sure,
have you trained? You're not able to hear me? I'm sorry. Are you able to hear me, Heena?
Yes, I can hear you, Ms. Aarti. Go ahead.
Oh, super. Thank you. I had a few members of the panel saying they couldn't hear me, so I'm hoping I'm good to go. So my point here is very simple. Where do I think that the school could have done better? Very, very simple. Have you trained your driver that he should never do a reverse, basically, even, most importantly, a reverse maneuver, without somebody monitoring the reverse of your vehicle? Now, as I saw a small video and the little bit of news that I got, this child had passed away within a few minutes of this accident happening, which means that the accident was that severe. It was that much of an impact. On a reverse, do you go that fast? Is it that much of an impact? These are simple questions I want to ask. So if you're telling me that the government isn't to blame or the school per se isn't to blame, and it's just the driver, my question is, was the driver educated? Was he told very clearly? Driving without an assistant, it was driving
Ms.
without...
Aarti, Yes, those are very important points you have raised. Let's also get Rupali Kudesia to respond to the points that you have raised. She's Vice Principal, DPS Sushant Lok. Thank you for joining us on Urban Debate this evening. My question to you is, again, what I asked Ms. Aarti earlier. Where were the teachers? There was nobody... in the school premises when this child got down from the school bus and then suddenly remembered that he's forgotten his bag. I mean, how is that even possible? And we all drive, or we have seen people around us driving our vehicles. Whenever we are trying to reverse the vehicle, we ensure that there's nobody behind us. We just don't ram into somebody who's behind our vehicle. How could something like this happen? Who is responsible, ma'am?
Absolutely right. Even I'm shocked at the incident, because morning time when everyone is arriving to school and there are teachers around, there are children around, the whole staff is outside. And in fact, the entire transport crew is also there, assisting such kind of movement. How could a class 2 child be left alone? And, so much so the child goes to the class, returns, and this horrifying incident happens, and there was nobody to monitor. This is beyond my comprehension, because you have to have a defined system for dispersal arrival. And this kind of defined system ensures the safety and security of the children. The moment the child alights from the bus, such young children have to be escorted. They have to be taken to the classroom, leave alone one odd child returns to the bus all by himself. So this is really unbelievable. And then a system has to be made in such a way so that it caters to all such kind of exigencies. So I am really amazed that there was no response. And as ma'am rightly pointed out, that the impact must have been such severe that within the minutes of this accident, the child succumbed to, death. And this is really unbelievable. So for any school, for our school also, I really, I am not bragging, but yes, we have a defined system from the moment the child arrives to school, whether a self-walker or uses the school bus. There is a proper system. There are teachers assisting, there are guards assisting the children to reach their classroom. So I'm shocked and angry at the same time that how could such incident happen when Supreme Court also has laid down all the rules very specifically, but yet all we do is cry over spilled milk. That is what we do actually.
Absolutely. And as Dr. Sumansi Raman had mentioned a case of 2012 wherein Shruti, a class second student, also had died after falling through a hole on the floor of a school bus and was run over. After that, only a special set of rules, in fact, were issued in 2012. So Lakshmi Ramachandran, I want to ask you, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the rules that are framed are being followed as well by the schools? Why shouldn't the government be responsible for also ensuring that the guidelines which are there are being implemented on the ground too? Otherwise, what's the purpose of having these rules at all?
Firstly, it's a terribly unfortunate event, and can't imagine the plight of the parents of the child. My heart goes out to you. Yes, as it was mentioned, we have all these rules in place. We don't know if, whose negligence actually led to this incident. That has to be investigated. I read some reports which said that there was no attendant in the bus. Apart from a driver, every school bus is supposed to have an attendant to manage the children, because these are children and they cannot manage themselves. If that is the case, the bus operator, whoever runs the bus has to be brought under law. Let us also remember that the pandemic has changed a lot of things. Many of these bus operators suffered huge losses. In some cases, it is the school. But this particular incident, should wake us all up. We cannot be cutting corners. Because it is something that involves the safety of our children. I know of parents who engage private vans. Private vans, the laws that are applicable for school buses, if it is not an authorized school bus service, the laws that are applicable for school buses, like, the labeling of the bus as school bus, or the color coding, that is, school buses are supposed to be yellow in color, and the attendant requirement, a number of children on the bus can actually accommodate. All those rules may not be applicable to these private vans. If I don't know, if this was a school bus, school operated bus, school authorized bus, or if it was a private van engaged by the parents, and because of which there was no attendant. I don't know what happened in this case, but the government should come up with some regulation, even for such private operated buses, even if the school doesn't authorize the service.
But Mr. Narayan Tirupati, the regulations are already there. How many more regulations are required now? The rules are already in place. Now probably we need to see and ensure that it is implemented.
Yes, the school has to take the responsibility. The fault is on the school side only, definitely. Because we believe, the parents, we believe the school, and it is their responsibility to take care of the children. the said child, this child has gone to the classroom and then he has returned. So that means that the the teacher of the class, or if the school has started, if classes have started, it is the responsibility of the teacher to have seen that this child did not it does not step outside the classroom. If it is so, then this child should have been accompanied by a attendant. And if there is no attendant in the bus, as per the reports, definitely the school is responsible, because the school management has failed to see to it that the norms and the rules are not followed. There are definitely huge rules are there. Absolutely, there is no no more rules are needed. But the violation of rules, definitely the school and also the officials, they should be checking. Maybe as my previous panelist Lakshmi said that after Corona, COVID, all these things have happened. But I don't think anything to do with that as far as this incident is this accident is concerned. Definitely, it is the irresponsible management. That is the main, because if it is so, if it is you say COVID as reasons, you should have been even more careful and definitely taken care of the children. So it is the school's responsibility. The school has to take responsible, and also whoever it is, whether morally or legally, whoever is responsible. If there is no attendant, that is illegal. Definitely, this is absolutely fault on the school side only, and also the officials who are to be blamed should be investigated, found, and they should also be punished.
Bring to
That's an important point you have raised. In fact, now.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Aarti, you wanted to respond? Okay, Ms. Rupali Kudesya, yes.
Ms. Lakshmi brought a very vital point here that yes, there are rules and regulations laid down for school buses, but there is no rules or regulation which has been defined for the school vans. So yes, I'm not justifying this incident.
Oh, here in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, we have it. In Tamil Nadu, we have.
There are rules. There are rules,
right.
And schools get around that rule very simply by not taking the responsibility at all. They tell the parents, you do your deals directly with the van operators, they will charge you so much. So because of these issues, because the government acts often with a very, very heavy hand, they will arrest the principal, the entire school management will be taken into custody in some cases. So because schools don't want to get into this issue, nowadays the increasing trend is not to run school buses themselves, but to outsource this to van operators, which actually is less safe. But it is counterproductive because it is less safe.
One at a time.
Right.
So can I finish my point?
One at a time. Yes.
What is worse?
Yes. Dr. Sumansi Raman, please finish your point. Then Ms. Rupali.
My point is.
Yeah, Ms. Aarti, 1 second.
By going on with a very heavy hand, what happens is it forces many schools to simply wash their hands off this entire transportation of students, making it even more unsafe. Because these van drivers, whether they follow the rules or regulations,
one at a time.
So that is a big risk that is going on, and it is very easy to sort of quickly say the school should be condemned and this and that. But practically, think about it.
What is this? It has happened in the school compound. And how he says that it does not be heavy hand. Definitely, it should be.
Okay. 1 second, gentlemen, please. 1 second. One at a time, please. One at a time. Dr. Sumansi Raman has made his point. Ms. Aarti, and then I'll go across to Narayan Tirupati. Yes, Ms. Aarti.
So I have a simple question to ask. So if our children don't get the required marks or don't do well in school, even for that, the parents are called to school and we are held responsible, saying that you have to watch this at home, you have to do this, you have to do that, train them this way. So even for what happens in the school, we are responsible. So let's assume I've left my child in the school campus. I'm expecting you to take the basic safety. You're not taking responsibility for education anymore. Okay? Let's not talk about that. You aren't even taking responsibility for the safety of my child. As the vice principal had mentioned, which is absolutely right. I have run a play school too. Let me tell you that no child is allowed to get off a bus without a teacher standing near the steps. There is always someone monitoring.
The children had already gone to class, madam. This child came back. What are you talking?
What was he doing outside?
But Dr. Sumansi Raman, this child had gone to the classroom, returned back. There was nobody around him.
Yes,
There was nobody in the school
ma'am,
premises. So then tell
then
me who
all
is
the
responsible today? Even if one at a time. Dr. Sumansi Raman first, then Mr. Narayan Tirupati.
I have a great deal of.
Then it is the responsibility of the school, isn't it? Dr. Sumansi Raman, please respond.
Look, you tell me. 1 minute.
Miss Aarti, let him respond. Miss Aarti, let him respond.
Look, there are schools of various types all over the country. A school in Delhi which can afford to employ 100 people to monitor each and every child. It is not possible in most of the schools. Many of these schools are run on very nominal fees in many places. I don't know about this particular school.
No, what is he talking? I don't understand.
What are you saying, sir?
How can you?
So
How
if
can
you
you?
belong
Tell
to
me. Can you
school,
put
I
a?
can give
No,
up
Mr.
safety
Narayan.
of
No.
time.
Wait. So, Mr.
Look,
Narayan.
Okay, one second. One at a time.
What is this?
Are they
Okay,
running
one
a
at a
free
time.
school,
No, I
madam?
Mr. Dr. Sumansi Raman, you've made your point.
My point is
Okay,
very
so
simple,
Dr.
ma'am.
Sumansi
My
Raman, you
point
are of the
is-
view
my
that
point-
okay.
My point
Yes.
is very simple. The school must do the best it can. It must have processes in place. But such incidents are not commonly expected. I mean, the parents could not have, the school could not have anticipated that this child will come back on its own. And this kind of a thing is something that is not a routine incident. If
We're talking
supposing
that
the
he
parents,
walked some 10 miles
Mr.
across the
Narayan
road.
Tirupati, it was
This is absurd.
okay.
This
Mr.
is
Narayan
absurd.
Tirupati, we are talking about an
please,
8-year-old
Heena,
child. 8-year-old
next time
child
it
we are
happens-
talking about, Mr. Narayan
next time
Tirupati.
it happens to a
Let Mr. Sumant finish.
pro-Hindutva
Or
school,
the
let's see
show
if Mr.
continues to
Narayan
9:30.
Tirupati
He
maintains
will
the
not
same line.
allow others to talk.
Miss
This is
Come
Heena,
on,
wrong.
Dr.
You have
Sumansi
allowed
Raman.
him to
Now
talk.
that is
You have allowed him
really
to talk.
appalling
Ask
what
him
you
to
have
speak.
said. We're talking about a child here. An 8-year-old child, sir, who's lost his life.
Ask
Yes,
him
we
to allow
are.
others to
Please.
speak.
Please, we are
I would
talking
like
about
to-
a child here who's lost his life, sir.
Let's see what
Okay,
Mr.
okay,
Narayan
one
is
at a
saying.
time, please. One at a time.
Can I say something?
Once it happens,
Okay, one at a time, one at a time, please. Now,
Yeah,
Dr.
so-
Sumansi Raman, one second. Narayan Tirupati first, 1 second. I'll give time to each one of you. Narayan Tirupati first, then I'll go across to Lakshmi.
No, see, how can Mr. Sumant talk like, I don't understand. How can he talk like this? This is something ridiculous. See, the thing is that the school is responsible because the van operated, the van operated was not a private van. It is a van operated. The payment is taken by the school. We need to understand. So we are paying to the school van. So then the school, the operator is the school only, and definitely it is not a private one. So the school has to take responsibility. And how can he say that it should not be dealt with severely and all those things? It should be dealt with the iron hand. Because there are
sexual
Hello, Mr.
harassment.
Sumant.
Sexual
Will you keep quiet for
harassment
some time?
happened of a child.
Will you
Did
keep
you
quiet for
ask
some
for the
time?
school? Did you say
This
school
is not
authorities are
fair.
responsible?
I have a question to
This is
ask.
not
We're
fair.
talking about a
This is
child
not fair.
who's
There
walking
was
inside
one
the
Lakshmi,
teacher.
okay. Lakshmi Ramachandran first, then Miss Aarti. Lakshmi Ramachandran has been waiting for quite
No,
some time. Lakshmi Ramachandran.
I
Mr.
think
Narayan Tirupati, you've made your point. Lakshmi, only Lakshmi will speak. Then Miss Aarti, yes.
I don't think we can come to a conclusion on who's to be blamed or whose responsibility it was in this debate. An investigation has to be done, and we have to see, it was negligence on whose part led to this incident. So, see, whatever happened was unfortunate. I'm sure there are many lessons to be
Absolutely.
learned. Like ma'am was, telling, reversing within the school premises, what speed it can be done, and if there are new rules and regulations that have to be added, we through by studying what actually happened in this case, we have to put them in place. Second thing is, I would like to emphasize again on this private bus operators. Many schools don't want to take up this responsibility. They think that this is not this is not a core competency. It's
My
imparting
question
education.
is very simple, and I
What
want Aarti to now come into the debate. I've heard all sides here. Aarti, the point is that when we send our children to schools, 1 second, please. 1 second, all of you. If you will speak over each other, we will not be able to have a discussion.
Children are becoming
Aarti,
less safe.
Yeah. Yes, Heena, I can hear you.
Aarti, the point is, when we send our children to schools, we expect that at least in schools, they will be safe. And today, I'm shocked to hear the kind of comments that we've seen that it can't be the school's responsibility. Even if, in this case, the bus was of a private company, when a child, a second-class child, an 8-year-old child has entered into his classroom, isn't it the responsibility of the school to ensure that that child is safe? Can he be allowed to go out of the classroom unattended?
I have two main questions here. One is, we're talking about the child walking inside the campus from his classroom to the bus to take his lunch bag, whereas Dr. Sumant Raman says he left the room, he's walking quite a distance. He's not walking 10 kilometers, he's walking inside the campus.
No.
And he's still...
Yes.
Let me finish,
Yes.
Dr. Sumant.
Exactly.
Dr. Sumant. The second point, Dr. Sumant, let me finish.
No, let it be very
you
big,
said
sir.
that,
What is your problem?
You said that, sir.
What is this you are
You
talking?
said that.
I don't
You
understand.
said that,
Dr.
and I'm
Sumansi
responding to
Raman,
your
let
point.
her complete the point.
Investigate.
Please let me
Okay,
complete.
we can't have a debate like this when
no,
people
you
are
are
speaking
comparing
over
it.
each other.
Dr.
No,
Suman,
we
let
can't
me
have a
finish.
debate like this when people are speaking over each other. Dr. Sumansi
Heena.
Raman, I gave you time to respond. Let others also make their point without getting interrupted. Please. Aarti, 10 seconds, quickly finish your point. I'm completely out of time
The
now.
second point I have is the way that the school handled the accident. No information to the parent. I understand that for
Yes.
first aid, you take the child to the nearest hospital. But within 10 minutes, the nearest hospital has said, we cannot deal with this kind of an injury. You'll have to take the child to a multi-specialty hospital, which means right at that point
Yes,
of time...
and the family members had to protest in front of the school for 10 minutes because the management had not even informed the parents about this particular accident. I'm completely